You've probably seen the videos online telling you to barely crack your window open during a traffic stop, right? Maybe you've heard people say you should never fully roll down your windows when police pull you over. Well, I'm here as a criminal defense attorney to tell you something important. Following that specific advice is one of the fastest ways to end up with a smashed window, a vehicle search you didn't want, and additional criminal charges you weren't expecting. Let me be crystal clear about something that doesn't get discussed enough in these viral videos. The real battle during a traffic stop isn't about how many inches you roll your window down. You might win that tiny victory about window positioning and still end up losing everything that actually matters. Your vehicle gets searched, you spend the weekend in custody, and your legal case falls apart before it even begins. If your genuine goal is to prevent law enforcement from searching your vehicle, you need to stop fixating on the window glass itself. Instead, you need to understand and prepare for what happens immediately after an officer says those specific words to you. I need you to step out of the vehicle. That moment right there, that's the critical turning point. That's when the entire legal framework shifts dramatically. And that's the exact moment where you either unknowingly give officers complete access to your car, or you strategically protect your constitutional rights and effectively block their ability to search. My name is Mark Lopez, and I work as a criminal defense lawyer. Throughout this guide, I'm going to walk you through the precise moments when you should roll your windows down, when you absolutely need to remain silent, and most importantly, the specific exit and lock technique that transforms your vehicle back into a fortress protected by the Fourth Amendment. Let's dive into the legal realities you need to understand. Let me paint you a picture of how this typically unfolds. Imagine it's late at night, around 11 p.m. You get pulled over because one of your license plate lights is dim. The officer approaches your vehicle. The lighting conditions make it difficult for them to see inside clearly. They tap on your glass and say, "I need you to roll that window all the way down for me." Because you've been watching legal advice videos on the internet, your immediate instinct is to respond with something like, "I don't have to do that. I'm aware of my rights." Here's the thing about those internet legal experts. They're actually about 50% correct in what they're telling you. Technically speaking, in many jurisdictions across the country, you're not legally required to roll your window down completely. The general standard is that you only need to lower it enough to communicate clearly with the officer and to pass your documents back and forth. However, here's the practical problem that those videos conveniently leave out. When you choose to keep your window mostly up, you're actually giving that officer an incredibly powerful tool to use against you. Legitimate officer safety concerns. Think about it from their perspective for a moment. They cannot see your hands clearly. They cannot see who else might be sitting in your vehicle as passengers. From their standpoint, they're in a position where they could reasonably feel threatened by the situation. Here's what you need to understand about how officers generally operate. They want that window rolled down completely. They have strong preferences for that window being all the way down. When you refuse their request, you're actively escalating the situation in exactly the direction they're prepared to take it. You're essentially forcing their hand, pushing them to play what I call their ace card in this situation. Now, I need you to pay extremely close attention to what I'm about to tell you, because this is absolutely critical. When a police officer gives you a direct order to step out of your vehicle, here's what you do. You do not argue with them. You do not ask them to explain their reasoning. You do not start quoting legal rights at them. You simply step out of the vehicle. This particular point has been definitively settled in legal precedent. Back in 1977, the Supreme Court issued a ruling in a case called Pennsylvania versus Mimms. In that decision, the court determined that the minor inconvenience of requiring you to exit your vehicle is outweighed by legitimate officer safety considerations. Here's what makes this ruling so powerful. Officers don't need to have suspicion that you've committed any crime beyond the traffic violation. The fact that you've been pulled over for a traffic violation, any traffic violation, is legally sufficient justification for them to order you out. And here's an important detail that many people don't realize. If there are passengers in your vehicle, this requirement applies to them as well. Every single person must exit the vehicle if the officer requests it. This was established in another case called Maryland versus Wilson. When the officer says everyone out, everyone has to get out. If you choose to refuse this direct order, you need to understand what you're really doing. You're no longer simply dealing with a traffic ticket situation. You've now potentially committed an entirely new criminal offense, possibly obstruction of justice, possibly resisting law enforcement, depending on your jurisdiction. The situation can escalate into serious legal territory incredibly quickly, and what started as a simple ticket can transform into criminal charges just like that. Even worse than refusing to roll your window down fully or refusing to exit the vehicle is this scenario: locking your car doors, and refusing to get out while you're still inside. If you do this, police officers will break your window. They will physically remove you through that broken glass. And when you end up in court, the judge will rule that their actions were legally justified. The officer is going to stand in front of that judge and the prosecutor and explain, "I didn't intentionally cause damage to the individual or their vehicle. I took necessary actions to ensure my safety in that situation." And the judge is going to respond with just 2 words, "Officer safety." That's all it takes. So please, understand this clearly. Do not lock yourself inside that vehicle. It's not going to play out the way you imagine it will in your head. Now, let's say the police have ordered you to exit the vehicle. You might feel like you've lost the window argument. You might feel defeated at this point. But here's what I want you to understand. Don't feel defeated at all. This is actually exactly where we want the situation to be. The moment you step out of that car, the entire legal landscape undergoes a fundamental transformation. This is where you implement what I call the exit and lock strategy. Here's exactly what you're going to do. You will exit the vehicle, you will close the door behind you, and you will lock that door. You can even lock it before you step out if you prefer. Simply open the car door, press the lock button, step out, and shut the door behind you. I consider this approach to be legal jiu-jitsu. Think about why they wanted you out of that vehicle in the first place. They want to lean inside with their head. They want to claim they smell marijuana. They want to look underneath the seats. They want to manufacture probable cause that would justify searching that entire vehicle. By locking that door immediately after you exit, you've accomplished something crucial. You have severed your direct connection to that vehicle. You have re-established a Fourth Amendment barrier that now stands between the officer and the interior of your car. At this point, if that officer wants to get back inside your vehicle, they're going to need one of exactly 3 things. First option, a warrant. Second option, brand new probable cause that developed after you locked the door, something like seeing a firearm or illegal drugs through the window, which falls under what's called the plain view doctrine. Third option, your explicit consent to search. Now, guess which one of those 3 options they're almost certainly going to try to obtain from you? Picture this. You're now standing on the roadside. Your car is locked up tight. The officer is frustrated with the situation. This is when they're going to try what I call the pocket check trick. They'll say something along these lines. "Hey, before I put you in my patrol car, you don't have any weapons or drugs on you, correct? Would you mind if I do a quick check of your pockets? Oh, and while we're at it, you wouldn't mind if I just took a look in the trunk, would you?" Notice how they casually slipped that vehicle search in there at the end? Here's what you're going to do at this moment. You're going to look that officer directly in the eye, and you're going to state clearly, "I do not consent to searches." You're going to say this clearly and firmly. You're not going to be disrespectful or rude about it. You're simply going to be a broken record. "I don't consent to searches." Repeat it as many times as necessary. Now, understand that an officer does have the legal authority to conduct a pat-down of your outer clothing for safety purposes. However, unless you explicitly give them permission to enter your vehicle, they're going to have to pursue a different avenue to get inside, either obtaining a warrant or establishing probable cause through some other means. While you're standing outside that vehicle, here's another crucial rule. Keep your mouth shut. Do not start volunteering information like, "I only had 2 beers," or, "Hey, that bag you might see in there belongs to my cousin." Just stop talking. Seriously, just remain quiet. Don't say anything more than you absolutely have to. Look, I completely understand that this entire situation feels unfair. It feels like you're being treated like a criminal when all you did was have a broken tail light or commit some other minor traffic violation. But here's the reality you need to accept. The side of the road during a traffic stop is not a law school classroom. It's not a debate stage where you can argue constitutional principles. The goal during that roadside encounter is not to win an argument with the police officer. Frankly, I'm of the strong opinion that you probably cannot win either a verbal confrontation or a physical confrontation with a police officer on the side of the road. The actual goal is to conduct yourself in a way that gives your lawyers something concrete to work with when you get into court. So let me summarize the key points you need to remember. Don't waste your energy fighting over the window position. Comply when ordered to exit the vehicle. Lock that door immediately after you get out. Then deny them your consent to get back inside the vehicle. Follow these steps, and you've done everything you can to protect your rights at that moment. If you've stayed with me through this entire guide, that tells me you found this information valuable. I really hope you'll take a moment to like this content, subscribe to follow more legal guidance, and leave a comment with your thoughts. People seem to love leaving comparisons in the comments. I've heard everything from Joe Pesci to Turtle from the show Entourage. For the record, I'm hoping those Turtle comparisons are referencing the slimmer version from the later seasons rather than the earlier ones, though I respect the actor's work throughout. I've even gotten John Leguizamo comparisons and various other random references. If you can't think of anything else to comment, just let me know who you think I remind you of. I genuinely love reading comments. I make an effort to check them multiple times throughout the day. I actually set a timer for 5-minute intervals, trying to respond to as many as I possibly can. I especially love reading the positive ones, though I can certainly handle some constructive criticism too. Let me know what you think about this information. If you happen to be facing criminal charges in Indiana, I encourage you to give me and my legal team a call at 317-632-3642. We're here to help. And most importantly, above all else, remember to always plead the fifth. Protect your rights, stay silent when it matters, and give your attorney the best possible chance to defend you in court.